Early on this year, I went through something really difficult, and I want to share with you today about what I did during this time, how I coped with it, and how I worked through it. So I received some news that came literally 10 minutes before I had to head back into 2.5 hours of sessions. And what unfolded really over the next several months was a process of a whole range of emotions: grief, anger, longing, sadness, that took a long time to really work through. It's my great hope that you might take something away from this video that might help in the current or future time of need. Hi, I'm Dr. Jamie Bardia, a clinical psychologist who for the past 15 years has been helping people create deep and lasting change. And on this channel, I share some of what I've learned along the way. As I mentioned, when I first received the news, 10 minutes before I had to head back into 2.5 hours of back-to-back sessions. And so there was literally no time to even begin to process anything. So I had to park it with the intention of coming back to it the very first chance that I could. So somehow I got through to the end of my workday. And so the original plan was to go to a gym class that evening. And as healthy as an outlet as exercise is, it wasn't what I needed right then and there. What I really needed was to be around friends. And so I reached out to her friends and made a plan to catch up with them that evening. And if they weren't free, I would have tried someone else, because what I needed was to be around friends at that time. So after making those plans, it was really the first time since receiving the news earlier that day that I'd stopped. And I felt this huge wave of grief come over me. And so I let it up. I didn't try to fight it. I didn't try to push it down, because I knew that's what my mind and my heart and my body needed in that moment. So later that evening, when I got to my friend's house, I shared with them about what had happened, about how it made me feel, the devastation. I was open and raw and vulnerable. I didn't try to minimize or make light of how I was feeling, and they didn't try to make me feel better. They were there, they listened, they supported, they validated, but they were just okay with whatever I was feeling. So I took the next day off. I rescheduled all of my sessions, and as much as there's a time and place for compartmentalization, there's also a time and place for slowing down, for stopping and dealing and facing things. I knew I wasn't going to be in the right frame of mind had I decided to go to work. And so I spent the day processing some more. I took myself to the beach, and coming from the Gold Coast, it's a place that often feels like home for me. So I journaled a whole bunch. I put my thoughts and feelings down on paper and really tried to give language and expression to some of what I was feeling. That weekend, I was meant to go to a party, and ordinarily that would be something that I'd enjoy, but I knew I wasn't going to be in the right frame of mind to go there. And so I stayed in and reached out to a bunch of friends again. So over the next few weeks, I really didn't have a lot of emotional space for others, maybe because of what I do for work, but I was going through a process of emotional healing myself, and so my cup was running on empty. I was really intentional about what I needed for myself over the next few months. I said no to a lot of things. I only surrounded myself with my closest friends. My sleep was terrible, and so my energy and productivity were also down. And so I made sure that I didn't take on any extra work during that time, and I really just put off all non-essential work tasks and lowered any expectations that I had of myself. I got back into a regular habit of journaling, and also got into a regular practice of mindfulness, which really helped with rumination and anxiety. And little bit by little bit, each of these things had an additive effect, and slowly things started to get better. Each time there was a feeling of grief, of longing, anger, fear, sadness that I allowed to come up, I got to experience moments of calm. And over time, those moments of calm became more and more frequent. It took really several months before I got back to feeling anywhere near my usual self. And even then, there were still moments and days where some of those old feelings will get triggered again, sometimes seemingly out of nowhere. I mentioned before that working through a process of emotional healing takes time and intentional effort. And temporarily, you might be less physically and emotionally available to those around you. It doesn't mean that you're any less of a caring person. It just means that you're going through something. So I am very confident that this was not the last time that I go through anything difficult. And I share this in the hope that it gives an awareness that you're not alone. When we go through dark and difficult times, it can feel like it's never going to end or that things won't get better, but they do. Make sure that you surround yourself with good people, be attentive to your own needs, and get some therapy if you need it. All of us can face challenges that are too much for us to bear from time to time, but the human spirit is incredibly resilient and able to overcome tremendous pain. We just need to expose it to the right condition. Thank you for watching. If you'd like more insight into the world of mental health, be sure to click the bell notification and subscribe.